Hey fans, well, we're back out on the high iron once again on a road trip, and we're actually at, I think this is second stop, but needless to say I wasn't planning on this location. We're here at Emory Gap, which is the yard control point here in Harriman, Tennessee. And the reason being why we're stopped here, and I'm not alone. TrainNut Productions is with me. As a matter of fact, I'm riding along with him in his car. Rail Moments is here doing a live stream, so if you guys get a chance to check out his live streams. We got another Sloco with a heritage unit we haven't seen in quite a while. And it's number 1069 of Virginian is just working just a little ways north of here. He actually went north this morning trailing out of Chattanooga, works up this far, and he's due to be coming back through, but this time he'll be lean, so we're getting to witness a heritage unit in the lead, that we always like to do. So like I said, we're just going to see this and then afterwards proceed on to our next point. So guys, stick around. Well, fans, it has been a bit rainy today. Other than our Heritage unit catch back in Harriman at Emory Gap, it's been quite an interesting day so far. We kind of had to bypass one spot, but we'll catch back up to it on our Sunday trip back home. But for now, guess where I'm at? If you happen to see in the previous clips, the name should stick right out. We're in Bristol, the Twin Cities, right on the Virginia, Tennessee line. So, just to kind of give you a little historical fact, I've been reading up on this place for a lot of years. I've been seeing pictures of it. And this is one place I was like, man, I would love to see it, and finally get to see it. Of course, you got the neon sign over there welcoming anybody to either side and all, which is something that really sticks out. And here's the thing. The tracks cross right in front of it. Now, for a little interesting history, this is actually where the Norfolk and Western and Southern Railway met with their passenger trains. Maybe even interchange. So, you had, the Birmingham specials, you saw it on there. Yeah, you had the Tennessean and you had the Pelican. Both named trains handled by both railroads. Now, how cool is that? So, if my layman's are correct, and I probably have to look at my phone to basically tell you what side I'm on. Well, of course, I'm under the old watershed of the depot, and I tell you what, they've done a marvelous job of keeping this place intact. A lot of these watersheds have been disappearing over the years. Not very many of them, but there's been a few places I've been to that have actually held on to them. It's like a capsule in time that has still been kept, because right where I'm standing, many passengers have stood and waited for trains. The Pelican, when it's on its way down from Roanoke, or the Tennessean coming in, from the Southern to be handed off to the Norfolk and Western. So, yeah, this is just something else. So we are actually on the Virginia side. So this is basically the Norfolk and Western side that we're on. So this is basically where the three named trains, even the local that was handled, would interchange here. So how excited it is to be here, to finally see this place. And I tell you what, as a photographer, that neon sign, that's a real treat to get that. But to see this station intact and preserved, even if they're using it for some sort of entertainment venues, it's a piece of railroad history that has been preserved. Bristol was a railroad town back in its heyday. And I tell you what, I'm glad to see that this has been kept up. And there's a few artifacts. Let me get out of the way here, so you just kind of ignore. So all the way down there is one of the baggage carts, and there's Mike from Rail Moments. He's doing his live stream on here. Be sure to tune in. So just on the other side of the street is the Tennessee side. We're on the Virginia side. So just to kind of give you a look around, there's even a small yard that's just right up there somewhere. Even got some artifacts even placed here. It's one of those baggage lifts that the people working at the station would use, to haul baggage to passenger trains. So it's a little rainy here. Well, hopefully, we'll get to see something. If not, hey, it was cool to stop here and say, hey, I finally got to see this place. So we've been hearing on the chatter and waiting to see if a train is going to pop up. You know, hopefully it does. You know, at least want to see something. So, but anyways, guys, we're going to stick around for a little bit, see what happens. If not, we're going to be back on the road and on our way to our destination. So, for those of you that are going to be tuning in for the CSX Santa Train video, that's going to be on a separate one from this. This is the road trip video. So, the CSX Santa Train video will be on a separate one. Be sure to look for it when it's uploaded. You know, in its 83rd year run. So, getting all excited for the next day when that chase is going to take place. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there, but just get to witness some of those areas that, you know, don't have a lot to look forward to. They get their spirits picked up by old Saint Nick himself riding on the tail end of a train. So, well, we're going to see whatever's going to happen here, so stick around. So, coming back to the train board here, this is what's dated 1951. So this is towards the tail end of the steam era. Steam would still be running. I think the diesels took over by the mid 50s. So kind of give you a little historical fact. So you got trains 17 and 18, the Birmingham Special, which would be handled by the two railroads, so they would actually exchange here. You got train 1, which is the local from Bristol to Knoxville. It leaves 4:30 in the morning. So Southern Railway would actually handle that one. Train number 4, which is Knoxville to Bristol, will come in later on at 10 a.m. in the morning, also handled by the Southern. Train number 41, the Pelican, which ran from New York to New Orleans. So there was a few railroads that handled that, but here it would be handled by the Norfolk and Western and Southern. So once the Norfolk and Western brought it down, the Southern would take over and take it on to New Orleans, which is actually just on their trackage. Train number 46, the Tennessean, coming from Memphis to New York. So the Southern actually ran that train, so that's actually one of the ones that would have ran through Chattanooga on its way up here. So once it got up here, and Norfolk and Western handled it as far as it could before other railroads would take it all the way to New York. So the time for these trains, as you can see, it was a busy time here at around 10 a.m. in the morning. So you had two trains would arrive at the same time. 40 minutes later, the Tennessean would show up and then depart 10 minutes after. You got train number 10, the local, running from Bristol to Roanoke. That's the Norfolk and Western train. Would leave here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So that train would actually get here, sit for a while, and then run on back. Train number 45, the other counterpart to the Tennessean, will come down from New York on its way to Memphis. So Norfolk and Western bring it in, and the Southern would handle it the rest of the way. So arrival time was 5:20. And they would actually leave at 5:30 after the railroads exchanged the train. Train number 9, another local from Roanoke to Bristol, would come down here at 6:25 in the evening. So that one would actually sit until it left back to go back to Roanoke, you know, unlike its counterpart number 10. So, you know, leave at 1 o'clock and then come back at 6:25 p.m. Last on the list, train number 42, the Pelican, unlike its counterpart number 41, it will arrive here from New Orleans on its way to New York. Arrival time 7:40 p.m. Will leave out in 15 minutes after the two railroads exchange the train. So it's kind of a nice little piece of history, you know, to tell you what passenger trains are here. So for anybody that likes historical artifacts, you can pause it, you know, where you can look at the times on there. Maybe even look at the pictures to see what the trains even look like. So one of our stops that we have on our East Tennessee road trip here, we're here in Emory Gap. Well, that sign should give it away. So this is actually the crossroads of the Southern. It's more like a turning point where lines had intersected. There's actually one just a little bit east of here that actually went underneath. That line is actually out of service, so doesn't see any traffic. The main one is basically the one that goes through this area. And of course, we're right in the middle of a Y. You have this leg of the Y that's right here. Just down ahead, about where the signal is, and I'll point it to you, is the other leg of the Y. So this was a railroad town at one point. And of course, you know, those days are long gone. There's very little railroad presence here, not like it was back in the day. So this was quite the area, and it's a bit quiet. It's not like most areas where it's lively, rolling with activity. It's just a generally quiet area. So we're gonna kind of showcase around. We're waiting on one train to show up. So let's have a look. So right here we have the Emory Gap Railroad Museum, and right below it says Crossroads of the Southern Railway. So they kind of have a display in there. I stepped in there. They got a huge train layout, still work in progress. They got quite a few artifacts, pictures, memorabilia, you name it. You know, stepped in there for a few minutes to before coming back out here. They even got a board with a listing of some of the trains, as you can see it there. This is our hours. They're open from Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sundays are 1 to 5 p.m. And of course they have their meetings just like my railroad museum does, but it's more frequent than usual with mine. And of course they list all the trains that service the area. I think there's 2 of them. They're not even in there as far as the east-west. And then Switcher Local, not really sure on that. And you got S-Line jobs right below there. So if you guys want to read it, just pause it, and take a look at it. But anyways, we're going to kind of look around here. So this is the east leg of the Y. This to kind of go along here. We'll zoom on down there. There's the other leg of the Y and the signal. And it's actually a line that goes up to Frisco and also on up to Kingsport. So that's the line that connects on up through there. So coming on down, and I think at one point, the track may have curved there. I could be wrong. But by the looks of it, maybe it did at one point. But just to kind of give you a look at some of the old buildings are here. So this town has kind of stood in time. My time has basically seemed to leave, where it's like left a lonely reminder of what life was like in a railroad town. Some of these old buildings here. Down here we got 2 signal bridges we got an approach. That's possibly for our next train. There's also a switch right there for a stub track. It's more or less buried in the dirt. So just kind of looking around here. Now I'm going to turn over here. One of a couple examples of concrete water towers that the Southern had built. The other one being in Ottawa that we've seen right at the turnout for the Atlanta North. You've probably seen that in various clips. This is the other example of it. So we're just gonna take a gander in. In the next clip you'll see a view at that next crossing, some of the other features that we're going to show you around with. So right here at the next crossing, this is Gilley's Hotel. This is a railroad hotel that was pretty famous back in the day. It was the most well-known structure here in the town. Over the years they were trying to restore it. The balcony they used to sit on it been taken down because it was pretty decrepit. And they tried to make a lot of restoration effort. Last I was told, this effort has halted due to lack of funds. So in a way that this is kind of sad, the structure like this that has been around for so long, has been a part of this town, people just giving up on it. Yeah, in a way they're a historical structure, should always be saved, but in this case, when you have a lack of funds, well, that's just the common case. And kind of turning our way here, we even got the local cat running around. Got this place, I thought that was pretty neat, right alongside the track, so definitely railroad related. Maybe some type of store or something, maybe a office, for an executive. Right next to that, I definitely believe it has to be railroad related. It looks like something was sketched on the side there in that black patch. I don't know what it says. Can't really make it out, but it's definitely Southern, that's for certain. So kind of what we're seeing right around this town here, in this very area. Well, guys, this is going to conclude the East Tennessee Railfan road trip. They have been planned months ahead. So, seeing some interesting things. I was glad to feature them for you. You know, I had a good time. Jesse had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in a different video, be sure to check out the CSX Santa Train. Went on that chase. Boy, that's a boatload of fun, even though there's a lot of people out there. And like I said, concluding out here in Bowles Gap, Tennessee, where we caught our second train on the A line as it's going towards Knoxville. So as the usual feeling goes, we lose our light. Well, it's time to pack it up, head for home. Guys, thank you for sticking around with us, joining us along this ride. We hope you enjoyed this video. Give a like and subscribe if you like this. If you like my content. Also subscribe to Jesse's Whistleblower Productions. Also give our friend Mike some more subs at Rail Moments, which you can also find on YouTube as well. Type it in there. I even featured it on my channel as one of his channels as well. So guys, thank you for joining us on this little excursion, I would call it. So be sure to tune in to the next adventure that will be taking place more closer to Christmas. So guys, thank you, and we'll see you at the next spot.